Three, two, one. Ready or not, I'm shooting you anyway is a thinking man's FPS. A slow-paced, methodical, squad-based, first-person thinker is what you would say if you're a freaking pussy. This is We're blowing down the doors and the time for surrender was over when you decided to whip out the 9 at this convenience store. I swear he was like this before we came in. Ready or Not is an intense, twitch shooting, hostage rescuing, tear gas throwing, war crime committing, waiting for the enemies to surrender before shooting simulator. Developed and published by Void Interactive, released in the year of the apocalypse 2021. Similar to Exanima, a game which I review and you should go watch, Ready or Not has been in somewhat of a development hell, in which updates are further apart than your bully's mom's leg after you're done with her. Fucking Chad. The game received very positive reviews across the board with glowing praises on Metacritic such as cool game and good, though the lack of updates is getting on many people's nerves even though we just got an update in December 2022, you ungrateful fuck. This positive reception is undoubtedly due to the fact that Ready or Not fills the gaping hole that was left by Squad 4 after the Irrational game was gaped by BioShock Infinite, a game which destroyed not only the BioShock franchise but also the mental state of Ken Levine, who was pushed to his limits by the entirely ethical and not at all corrupt video game company 2K. In Ready or Not, you play as a squad team leader in LA. I'm sorry. The fictional city of Los Suenos, California, a place that just happens to look and feel exactly like Los Angeles, complete with accurate meth labs and crack dens. When shit hits the fan, your team is called in to bring order to chaos. So your main enemies are the various factions, each with their own motivations and goals. You have the Hand, which is a generic terrorist group with an even more generic name. They do the usual mass shooting and the occasional bombing on the weekends. There's Mindja, a shady, corrupt tech and social media company that illegally sells their users' information in order to make a profit. Well, basically Facebook. You can't change your name to Meta and expect us to forget that shit. Next, we have the Left Behind, radicalized veterans who feel betrayed by the government they once risked their lives to protect. I feel like this is getting a bit too real. And there's the Los Locos, a criminal gang that participates in the illicit drug and firearms trade of Los Suenos and its surrounding areas. And finally, we have the Human Traffickers, who traffic humans. All of these factions provide more narrative context to missions in the game and no doubt give players justification to ventilate these impoverished veterans. You have 14 missions, each populated with a hostile faction, with many more missions planned by the developers when the game eventually releases in the year 2136. These maps take your team to locations varying from friendly and mundane, such as a nightclub, a car dealership, my local crack den, a hotel, to places which can only be described as not safe for life, such as a house that is used to make when they. And I gotta point out an underrated element in this game, which is the horror. The game is horror in disguise. Even though you're a team of highly trained badass specialists going up against barely functional drug addicts wielding butter knives, you never feel safe. There's a looming sense of dread and tension throughout the entire game. The claustrophobic maps are almost designed to be labyrinths, with many twists, turns, and the occasional dark corners for the local methamphetamine enjoyers to lurk in. You always feel like you're being watched, but not sure by whom and from whence. The game utilizes the quiet moments between the occasional gunfights to build up this foreboding atmosphere until it jolts you out of it with a firefight. Jesus Christ. And on that note, please leave a comment telling me if there's any game like this one, because I've tried my absolute best and can't seem to find anything with the same vibe to this one, you know what I mean? You can take on these maps in any given order because there's no progression system yet. Just pick a place and go shoot it up. There are currently 5 game modes as of the Atom update, with varying levels of tolerance towards your trigger discipline. Barricaded Suspect is considered the default game mode, in which you have to be allowed by the criminals to even point the gun in their direction. And if you shoot before they call a lawyer, sign a waiver and an NDA, your points are deducted for unauthorized force. Excuse me, I'm here to bring order to chaos, and the way you are kneeling is vaguely chaotic to me. So you know. The real fun is in raid mode, when they hand you an assault rifle and let you loose on the meth addict population of Los Suenos. You're free to do whatever you want, and I mean whatever. Taste them to death, or prolong their suffering with a paintball gun before double tapping to make sure they don't get up and blow the back of your skull open. Remember, it's only non-lethal if you don't mag dump. Speaking of blowing, there's a plethora of murder instruments for you to choose from. More than 30 to be not entirely exact. All of these are very fun and effective. Even the shotgun designated to taking down doors, because a shot to the face is bound to cause some damage, whether it's from a gun or from another kind of equipment. Putting bullets into people is satisfying with somewhat of a learning curve due to the extensive recoil system, which requires quick level of control if you decide to go with full auto like a true quiet kid. Weapons can be customized with the usual scope, muzzle, or magazine. This isn't as extensive as in Ram Ranch. This isn't as extensive as in Gram Branch, where you can adjust the exact location of your scopes, but there's enough here to satisfy the sweatiest of gun nuts. And to my knowledge, the devs have gone with the quality over quantity approach in regards to the attachment system. Everything has its purpose. So if you have a mission in close quarters, you might consider putting on a reflex sight instead of a zoomed in scope. That sort of thing. And these attachments will come in handy when you're faced with the AI, which theoretically reacts realistically in these situations that you're in. They can play dead, surrender, or even commit self-unalive. These fuckers can hide under beds, behind doors, and even inside walls like the guy inside your apartment right now. These NPCs have more tricks up their sleeves than Blizzard Activision has scummy monetization tactics. Well, not as many. Nobody beats them in that regard. Quick rant time. Like, the amount of time put into creating these scummy tactics could have been spent on making actual decent games, but no, these fucking whales just keep bending over and letting these corporations have their way. Okay, Business 101. First, you provide the absolute bare minimum to the customers, and then you go up from there. So if we keep buying these soulless husks they call video games, and they will keep sodomizing us. I mean, just look at Assassin's Creed Mirage and COD War 3. You have to be Helen Keller blind to not see the shit they're shoveling at us. And even she could smell the caca-poo-poo, and she sick deep. God bless the woman. Alright, back to the review. Where was I? Oh, the AI. Sometimes I'm actually surprised by how well Void Interactive depicts the erratic behavior of my neighbors. Make sure to stay on your toes, or you're gonna find yourself in an impromptu AV shoot with you as the main character. You're free to deal with these perverts in any way you see fit, usually going from room to room and clearing them out one by one. Your AI squad members can take on these criminals in a variety of ways. They can breach and shoot, breach and bang, ram and shoot, blow, bang, and then shoot. What the fuck? Whether it's shooting faces or taking facial shots, the sound design carries the whole experience, which tries its damnedest to immerse you into the seedy, disgusting world of LS. Individual sounds have a somewhat exaggerated quality that makes them more cinematic, but not so much to the point of becoming full-blown action flicks. From the footsteps, the subtle shuffling as your team is ready to clear a room, or the sound of putting mags back into the holder when you reload. Everything just works. But the real star here is the weapon sounds. The Steam page wasn't kidding when it says authentic. The devs went out of their way to make sure that when you put a virtual bullet into a petty criminal, somebody loses their unemployed cousin in real life. I have never shot a gun before, but I imagine this is what a real one sounds like, which terrifies me, to be honest. I mean, like, these are loud. Even with suppressors on, I can feel my eardrums one step closer to ripping themselves apart. Oh, and the way the gunshots echo inside small rooms just brings domestic violence to a whole new level. And what's the point of silencers anyway? You know, the enemies still know where your shots come from and your ears still go deaf. Right, so in conclusion, whether or not, ready or not, is a game for you depends on two questions. Question number one, do you have big balls? And question number two, are your glutes strong enough to carry those balls? Because after all, this is what it's all about, isn't it? whether or not you can squat 4 plates on each side. The infrequency of the updates could potentially be a bad sign, but I do believe Void Interactive will deliver, since fans would actually send squad teams to hunt them down if they're trying to pull a fast one. Right, watch my other reviews here or the reaction playlist here. I sincerely thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe to make sure you don't miss my gradual descent into insanity. See you guys again next time.